Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network proudly brings to you its tag teams champions of the world.
Whoa.
The Road Dog, Tino Gray, the badass Potsy Pochak, the New Age Outlaws. Tino, I've got to go ahead and just apologize to not just you, but the audience out there who expected us to be on about 30 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago if they actually looked at the Facebook page, because the computer that worked last week decided not to work this week. And you saw it, right? Like we loaded in, we got ready to start up, and what did you see?
No picture of Rob. It had like a silhouette and a picture of it, like the silhouette of a head. And then every time you would talk, the ring around it would do like that.
Yeah. So I know you would have appreciated that for the entire episode. The fans out there, the watchers probably would have appreciated that. But unfortunately, I like to look at my glorious visage wearing my Ghostbusters Peter Venkman shirt.
So I could do that. And that's what it looked like when you
That's exactly what it looked, except the ring around it got a lot bigger.
Yeah, so whenever you talk, that's exactly what I saw.
Yeah, except mine was like 3/4 larger than that. Look at who is already in the chat. Holla, holla, player. It's time for a 3-pack challenge match with Chris Barrett. Anyways, Chris Barrett, welcome to the show. We missed you last week. Tino, go ahead and put your picture back on. Don't be an asshole.
No. I want to be Oz.
What you're basically saying is you're masturbating back there and you don't want to be seen.
No, I have a woman. I can get off and do that when I get her. You have to masturbate, my friend. Don't try to put that on me.
Wow, we're gonna go there with it. You're gonna throw that. Like married men don't masturbate. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. We're already M-rated, folks.
They do, but I don't.
Wow. You get stopped up pretty good then, huh?
Look at it. I'm black. It's all right. Really, you gonna be obnoxious now?
A little bit. No, I'm actually quite pissed off, Tino, because I wanted to start this thing like.
I'm listening.
Folks, I think Tino's changing his batteries.
No, my back itched.
That thing's scary looking.
It's called the bear claw.
Yeah. It actually looks like the Frederick the Scaredy Cat claw. Oh, and it's got an extender just in case you got like a 9-foot long back.
Yeah, can you get right? Okay.
It's so that you get that little tuft of hair right above the butt.
I know you're jealous. I'll get you one,
dude. I wouldn't mind one.
Yeah,
in fact,
dude, good.
In fact, everyone's gonna hate me saying this, but you know what the best back scratcher in the world actually is?
The corner of a wall.
No. In fact, that kind of sucks depending on what your wall's made out of. Because like at my house, the wall has so many layers of like paint that it's like soft. But
every time I do it, my kids are like, "Oh, you're like a grizzly bear."
But dude, people say that to me. Like when I used to work at GameStop, people used to say that to me all the time because I'd walk up and I'd just be like,
"Yep,"
and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm scratching my back." And they'd be like, "Why don't you just use your hand?" And it's like, "Because it doesn't reach that far, you asshole." Like because it's always in that spot you can't reach. So tough question of the week, Tino. Why is it always in the spot you can't reach?
I don't know. I had another tough question of the week, but it harkens back to the bathroom. You remember you talking about we talked about having to poop when you get out the shower. We're talking about why it stinks when you fart in the shower. I want to know when you get hemorrhoids, why does it itch like right in the room, right in your butthole, and you can't scratch it? I mean, you can, but that'd be nasty.
So, the itchiest your asshole gets is because you didn't clean it well enough.
No, I had hemorrhoids.
So I have a hemorrhoid.
No, when I had, and this is nasty, but when I had COVID and you had diarrhea, and you just boom boom boom, and you wipe so much, you poop so much, it causes hemorrhoids. And I got in the shower and I washed my ass, and it still itched. The hemorrhoids itched my ass.
And that's because I think that the irritation was actually almost like an allergic reaction on the ring.
Yeah.
And that's why it still itched. But I am gonna now that you brought that up, I'm gonna state, I was down in South Carolina this week, right? I guess we will jump right into
What's up with you?
And I was in South Carolina this week, right? And last week I showed you I started utilizing the MI5 Randy Jackson gut fixer upper, right?
Oh yeah, you have to take a change of clothes out.
No. It's not like Ally, okay? It's definitely not. However, let's go. I'll give the week update on it, okay? Yeah. And folks, if you're in the chat, Chris Barrett, thanks for saying hi already. I love your idea of Edge and Christian going for the tag team titles. I actually hope that Retribution tonight takes down Edge and Christian just to give them some proper heat based on the way Mustafa Ali has been acting, talking about how he wants the geriatrics to get out of the way. I think that it would be a great way to push them forward and not utilize Edge's matches, but maybe give Edge a match at the March pay-per-view as a lead into his world title match at Mania.
But they would have to build it and end it in what is this, February now, and Mania's in April. I think they just need to keep him, because if Kofi was backstage last night, I don't think it's too far from Kofi coming back. So
sure, and since it was a jaw injury and he was jaw jacking like a motherfucker last night, so we anticipate that he will he'll be back sooner rather than later. No, I totally get it. And in fact, what would make Retribution a really good opponent would be the New Day and Edge and Christian doing a 5-second pose before they actually have a major match at the next pay-per-view leading into and we've got one of our favorite friends out there with her emo picture. I wasn't the one that originally said that, so I'm just going with it. But Katie is in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get back to what we were talking about because it's going to be a lot funnier than talking about pro wrestling at the moment, Tino. But we are talking about what's up with you. And so I was in South Carolina this weekend, right? And I played 2 rounds of golf with my brand new clubs. And I am going to tell you, remember how last week I said my brother-in-law started saying he's got his better driver down in South Carolina?
Yeah.
I still outdrove him.
Oh, damn.
My new driver, when I hit that son of a bitch.
Nice.
It's impressive.
Nice.
Not to say that I would outdrive anybody, but I probably added about 40 yards to my drive. So that was pretty awesome. The first day we went out, Friday, it was very muddy. And on like the first 3 holes, I could already feel the water seeping in through my shoes. And you probably know what we did earlier in the day on Friday.
Yes, I do. And it's still crazy to me.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it because next year you're invited.
Next year, I still won't be doing it.
Hold on. Hey, it's for charity, my friend.
Dude, I'll donate money.
We don't just turn away charitable things, okay? So for those of you out there that don't know what Rob and his brother-in-law Shane did, and sorry, Tino, I normally let you go first, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw all of my weekend stuff out there for everyone. I did a polar plunge this weekend. and it did not go as expected.
Dumb.
So I was down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and my brother-in-law Shane said, hey, the South Carolina Special Olympics has a special polar plunge once a year, and this year they're doing it virtually. So all we have to do is videotape it and make sure that we get it on tape, that we did it, and that way they approve us as part of the whole thing and whatever. So we were originally, Tino, going to take the golf cart from their house to the beach, right?
Mm.
It was 36 degrees outside. So it's just
Mm.
above freezing. And my sister, Michelle, who normally loves to see Shane and me suffer, actually offered to drive us down in the car, which was great because if we had to do this whole thing and take the golf cart back, it probably would have been the biggest clusterfuck disaster of all time. But instead, and yes, I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm sorry. I just it really adds to the ambiance. You'll be able to. It's okay.
Tell me about that shit.
Well, I mean, we've kind of accepted it at this point, haven't we?
Yeah.
Till Roy Cooper lets us sit in the same room together.
The fuck is that?
Fuck Roy Cooper. Anyways, and folks, if you're in the chat, don't be shy. Say hi if you've ever done a polar plunge. I'd love to hear about it. But so Shane and I sit there. We get our bathing suits on. We've got this great plan. We're gonna drive down. We're gonna park. We're gonna hop out. We're gonna drop down to just our bathing suits. Run into the water. Dunk at the first possible broken wave that comes in and get the fuck out, right? That's what the plan is.
How'd that work out for you?
So Shane did exactly that. Me, I was like 4 steps behind him, so the wave broke in front of me, so I couldn't turn around and do the duck down thing and had to wait until the second one actually hit. So if anybody's actually watched the video on Facebook, you've seen this now. But I yell and I scream, it's getting lower, because the water was going down. It wasn't coming up so that I could just drop down underneath it. And Shane's like, get under the water, and starts looking back, and then he's like, screw it. And he starts running back out because he's so cold, right? So I have to wait until the second wave hits. Well, the second wave finally comes down, crashes over me, and I come running out. And he is like, luckily, it was high tide, okay? Because if it had been low tide, we would have had to run half the length of the beach to not only get in the water, but to get out of the water. So luckily, we only had maybe 50 yards or so to run back up to then get on the little bridge, the little wooden bridge that they have, to try to dry ourselves off and then run back to the car. Okay, so I've got to tell you, it wasn't that bad for the most part. Okay, and what I mean by that is this. We've all been cold, right? We've all been able to throw a blanket or a towel over our shoulders to get some of that cold to go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? We all see the gray, bro.
I thought it had something in it.
You got like a Scott Steiner beard going on. But so I'm going to tell you this. Shane, looking back and waiting for me to go under the second wave, was not out of the water yet. And neither was I, obviously. But when we started running out, the one spot that hurt, and I mean hurt.
Thank you, Katie.
Was the fact that our feet felt like a million needles were going through the bottom of our feet, right? But hold on. The top, mostly fine, okay? I was sitting there, heavy breathing and everything else. And the reason why was, have you ever been so out of shape and then someone says, hey, let's go play basketball in like 40-degree weather? We've all done it, right? And then you do it and you're running up and down the court, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you have this burning feeling in your chest. Now, it's not a heart attack or anything else, and anybody that thinks that it's that bad, it's not that bad.
It's not in your chest, it's more in your lungs.
Well, that's what I mean.
I've been working out in my garage and it's cold out there, working out in the garage.
Right. So until you actually build up the cardio stamina to be able to handle the lower degree weather, it sucks. Well, imagine running from the water onto the thing, trying to dry off really quickly, and then run to the car where you're probably, your entire body temperature probably drops about 30 degrees in that whole time. So your body's trying to build you back up to 98.6, everything else, right? So I'm sitting there. So we drive back to the house. Now my sister has a hot tub. So the plan was pretty simple. Go into the ocean, get out of the ocean, try to dry off as much as possible with the towels. Put a towel underneath you so that you don't get the car all wet or anything else. When you get out of the car, go run to the hot tub. No, not so fast. My sister won't let us just run to the hot tub. She says, you're not allowed to take that dirty ass bathing suit into the hot tub. You gotta change bathing suits first. So both of us have to stop in a bathroom to change our bathing suits to then run to the hot tub. Now, the hot tub, I'm going to tell you, probably not the best idea.
There's no probably in that. It was not the best idea.
Well, think about it this way. We also still had to wash our feet off running into the house, right? We had, because there was still going to be some stand from the beach and everything else. So I'm sitting there and I turn the faucet water on and I'm running my feet under the bathtub faucet and I'm like, this hurts like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
This hurts like a motherfucker. But I'm still so cold that I'm like, I still need to run to the hot tub. I jump into the hot tub. I already couldn't feel my feet.
Now you were paralyzed from the neck down.
No. It wasn't anything. No, like I said, from here to the bathing suit level, my knees, everything else, they get cold, but they don't get crazy cold. Like today, heck, I was at work wearing a pair of shorts, even though my house is 70 degrees. And every so often, if I open up the front door, I'm still getting that 30-degree, whoo, but as long as I'm wearing socks and shoes, I'm okay because my legs don't get as cold as everything else. Anyways, we get in there. And again, this is now it's 9 o'clock in the morning because I was adamant we're gonna do this at 8:30 so that way we can spend more time in the hot tub. Because our golf was at 12:30. Anyways, hop in the tub, and the sting happens.
Yep.
And it feels like I can't even describe it because like I said, the cold was like a million needles going into the bottom of your feet. Everything else, you're fine. Millions of needles in the bottom of your feet, or maybe broken glass that you're running across and then have to jump in a fire to try to stop it, is what it felt like. So we decided that this is probably going to become an annual thing because my sister had so much fun watching us do it.
Why didn't she do it? Yeah. If you're going to make me do it, Shorty needs to do it.
Well, we came up with new rules for next year because I was like, I'm not doing it for nothing. They don't have to pay me or anything else because it's for charity. But we're doing a shot before and we're doing a shot after we get out of the water. Of the good stuff, Tino.
And what does that do?
Well, it warms you up. Okay. But I started thinking about it after I made those rules. I was like, but that second shot is not going to be on the pier. The first shot has to be on the pier after you strip down. Okay? So you strip down to your bathing suit, you take the first shot, you go run into the ocean. Second shot can't be that way because you'll be fucking frozen, right? So it's when you get in the car.
Now who's driving?
Oh, my sister, because she's not going to jump in the ocean.
Why?
For the same reason you don't want to. And you're not going to talk her into it either. But anyway, so that was the charitable event that I did this weekend. A couple other things that I did. Played 2 rounds of golf. Probably when I was actually hitting a really good drive was averaging anywhere from 230 to 250 yards, whereas my old drives used to be about 190 yards. My best drive of the day was the very last hole that we played, which was pretty awesome. Pretty happy about that. Wrote 2 articles last week for Mainframe Comic-Con for the gorilla position. The most recent one was, why didn't the WWE stock price go up during this whole fiasco with stock prices after they announced $1 billion deal with Peacock? So if you haven't read the article yet, folks, please go out there and do that. It would really mean a lot to me to get those clickies.
86 and plunge.
So Corey Pashan out there, Corey, you must have missed 2 weeks ago, because the answer to your question is no. And in fact, right now, I'm not sure I want it, because if you've looked at the GameStop ticker today, the GameStop ticker has GameStop stock sitting there at a wonderful $180, which
when we talked last night when I was over there, because we watched the paper, we'll talk about that later. Then you told me it was at 3.
Yeah, it was. So today it dropped $110 a share. Now, interestingly enough, at the same time, someone bought that. You know how, like, at Times Square, they've got the building that you can buy the billboard?
That's some mucho money.
So somebody actually bought it and was making fun of the short stock people with GameStop, and it said, like, hashtag GME buy brr, which apparently had something to do with one of the memes out there. But no, I do not own GameStop stock. However, I am going to tell you, I did start playing the stock market this week, and not crazy or anything, but I looked at it and I told you, Tino, $300 a share. The fact that the Robinhood app was preventing you from buying the shares of stock was going to drive the price down. And you and I talked about that a little bit. Today, it dropped almost 40% because of that. They're only letting you buy 1 share of the stock at a time. And because of that, it's really downplaying the worth of what the Redditors are trying to do versus the shorts. And the shorts are losing still, but not in the same way that they were. But I digress. I looked at it and said, which ones are affordable? So Rob's stock tips of the week, folks.
We need a new banner.
What's up?
We need a new banner.
Yeah, I know. I you know what? You want me to create one real quick?
Oh shit. I created a monster.
Here we go. You ready? Whoop. Rob's stock tip of the week. And this isn't really a stock tip. This is just what I did, folks. Every time AMC stock, so AMC, the movie theater company, drops below $12 a share, I feel compelled to buy it. Now, a month ago, their stock was $3 a share because movie theaters aren't showing movies right now, right?
Yeah.
But what's happening right now, Tino, like in the world outside with Carino? What's starting to happen right now?
It's getting worse. The vaccines are coming out.
But okay, so the second part, right? We already know that, yes, it's getting worse. More and more people are being tested. More and more people are getting the virus, everything like that. But the vaccine is coming out, right? My mom actually was supposed to get her first shot tonight. So was my dad.
What happened?
They're both over 65. So in Durham, anybody over the age of 65 can apply for it, and you get an appointment. You have to go to where they tell you to go, and you can get your first shot and then the second shot in 2 weeks. So my mom and dad have both been vaccinated at this point, at least partially vaccinated. Pretty awesome knowing that that's been the case. So movie theaters right now aren't showing movies. And if they are, like Alamo Drafthouse, they're showing 1 or 2 films that are new, and they're showing like 4 or 5 old films, and they're not getting a lot of people in there.
I don't know if it's all AMC's, but I know the AMC here in Holly Springs by us, you can actually $100. you can rent
a theater
and invite I think it's like up to 20 people to see a new movie. You get to pick the movie and everything. So I'm thinking about maybe doing that.
I don't think it's a new movie. I think they have a set thing of old films and when I say old films, we're still talking.
My friend did it when Wonder Woman came out.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's newer movies.
Well, Tino, I think we could get 20 friends of the Potsy and Tino show to help pay that $100 if that's what the case is. And we could go see some movies because I miss the movies, man. So, but anyway, Rob Stock tip of the week. Every time I see AMC slip below $10 or $12 a share, I buy it. A couple shares here, a couple shares there, whatever. And here's why. What does the stock market go by?
Trends.
You're right. But more than anything else, it goes by money. And it goes by year over year trends. So when you said trends, it goes by year over year, which also goes quarter by quarter, right? So if we are actually talking about, Corey actually said if I had GameStop stock, I should have dumped it by now. And he's absolutely right. The fact is that but the biggest problem I'm going to say right now with the GameStop stock is if I had bought it at $4 a share, like I was talking about last year, I would have sold it at 15. I wouldn't have had it at 300. I wouldn't have even tried to get back in because I'd have been like, oh, it's fat. It's gonna 1 day, 2 day, and gone. And I'd have been pissed off at myself. I'd have been more pissed had I bought it and sold it at 15 than at not buying it at all. But anyways, I want to continue this. The idea that AMC, as long as they stay in business through this vaccination period, is going to get year over year growth exponentially for multiple years because it's going to be a slow process, right? Well, when you go year over year, that means you go over last year. Well, last year was garbage. They didn't sell tickets to the theater last year. They didn't even have it open, which means the movie theater business is going to come back. It's going to fix itself. Even if it never gets to the $2 billion Avengers Endgame box office numbers, the business itself is going to correct. Am I right?
Yep. Which
means overall, the stock price is going to do what?
Go up.
So even if it goes down to like $4 or $6 or whatever, when they beat expectations that first quarter, what is going to happen with my 50 shares that I have at that point?
Hopefully it'll double.
Hopefully it'll at least go back to the level that it is now. And then the next quarter, what happens?
It might go down.
They're going to increase
on what's going on.
They're going to increase because more people will feel safer and start going to the theaters. So you will see an increase over year because of it.
But even with the vaccines coming out, I'm still hearing people like, I'm not going to the movies.
I'm not talking about this year.
Okay.
This is the long game.
Okay. All right, I got you then.
Let's say 2022.
Oh, okay.
They say 75% of the people out there are vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
And then Marvel goes, Avengers 5. You're going to tell me they're not going to get $1 billion?
They will then. I can see it.
So because of that, right? Because of that, they will be going up against nothing and make $1 billion at the box office. So as long as AMC stays in business that whole time, the 10 shares I buy a month or the 10 shares I buy a year or whatever should exponentially increase in value because they are going to blow away year over year expectation.
Like
it's not going to be tomorrow, but it is going to happen.
The only competition they're going to have is live streaming because I know Regal's gone. Regal went out of business. So they may have to compete with live stream because with the, and it's what I was talking to somebody else about. So with the whole coronavirus over this past year, I think a lot of businesses are figuring out, and yours is too, that, hey, we can save money. We can save overhead, lights. We don't need buildings because we don't have people working from home. I think that with Prime and HBO Max, a lot of these people, the production companies are realizing, hey, we can go straight to HBO Max. You don't have to go into the movie theater.
If you have read everything that shows how mad the movie makers are about AT&T's decision to put everything on HBO Max, and yes, I put Chris Barrett's statement up there, but we all know that Enron's a bad investment. Although it's probably a better investment today than it was when all those people went to jail. But but like Black Widow, for example. Black Widow, for example, is probably going to have to go to Disney Plus, but they're going to give it the Mulan treatment where you pay $30 to watch it, right? While that sounds great, is it going to do $2 billion like Avengers Endgame did? And the answer is no.
And probably people are going to wait because they know that Disney owns Marvel, so eventually it's going to be on Disney Plus for free anyway.
But you're saying eventually, but here's the thing: you've seen Avengers Endgame both in the theater and on TV, right? And even though they don't edit the content or edit your TV is not that giant ass screen that shows Captain America picking up Thor's hammer.
This is true.
And you're not getting that same feeling that when everybody in the theater started cheering when Captain America finally picked up that hammer. You're not getting that. Like, you could have 4 people sitting in there and it's like, and that's it. That's all you get. But when you have a theater full of people doing it, it's different. It's the same thing as WWE, man. We just watched the Royal Rumble. Don't you think that Christian coming out at the Royal Rumble, like the chance that he would have gotten just for him coming out, and then on top of that moment where he hugged Edge, what that would have done? Yeah. It's the same thing on the big screen, which for the WWE is pay-per-view, versus what we get at the theater. And it's the same thing. Wonder Woman, I'm glad I didn't spend money on at the theater. Don't get me wrong.
Me both.
However, just going to the theater, I would have felt happier about it, even though I did have other people over at the house watching it with me. You know, like the whole Zack Snyder's Justice League thing. Yes, that should be on HBO Max. We've already watched the crustaceous turd that movie was before. So now we get to watch his version of it, which he's now extended out to 4 hours, which luckily we'll be able to hit the pause button so that we can actually throw up, take a shit, do whatever we need to make ourselves feel better to get through the whole fucking thing. We got a couple more chats in here. Enron is a safer investment than GameStop right now. I don't know, Chris Barrett. If you got in at $15 on GameStop, it's still worth 10x.
I like that.
Uh,
That one
it
interests me.
it only matters until Disney sells Disney Plus to NBC. That's not going to happen. Disney definitely wants to own NBC rather than the other way around. Christian coming out in the Royal Rumble in the Final Four would have been huge. I liked where he came out. I love the fact that they actually used his old music and everything, and I love the fact that Jay Riso was actually very well in shape. Like he had definitely been in the ring with Edge, training together to get ready for that moment. And
Yes.
of course,
Oh my God.
Tino.
Oh my God.
That's cool, man.
What?
And we're not even talking about it yet. We still haven't gotten through your weekend.
I didn't do shit. What? I mean, I'll tell you about one. But the thing about Carlito, we'll get to that in the Royal Rumble. This dude is huge.
Dude was huge. And you know what? We're already thinking, obviously, we're an hour into what would be Monday Night Raw tonight. Got to tell you, I think that Carlito is going to be the MVP of this year, where he gets a contract if his singles match tonight against whomever goes over well. He still played a little bit of that heel role that we're used to with that. But so anyway, the stock stuff, man. How do you feel about it?
I'm not big in the stocks, so I don't.
Oh, I didn't even get to what I actually did with the stocks this week. So I didn't buy GameStop. I bought KOSS, KOSS. Remember the cheap, shitty speakers that you would put in your car stereo a long time ago? It was KOSS, right? The $20 speakers. I bought their stock this week. A month ago, it was $4 a share. I sat there on the 27th of January and I thought I made a steal buying that stock for $74 a share. You know what it was at the end of Thursday?
$10 a share.
36.
Okay.
So I took well, the stock took a dump on my chest. How about that? But that was the day that the Robinhood website said, we're not going to let you buy all the stocks you want that are being shorted by other companies right now and blah, blah, blah. So I held my shares. I didn't sell them like they wanted me to. And you know what I sold them for on Friday?
So you bought them for
74.
You sold them for probably not that much more. I'd say 85.
$96 a share.
Wow.
I made $22 a share on that. And the other thing I did on Thursday, when I noticed the cost was just constantly going down, and I was like, man, that money I just put into that account, glad it's not real money. It was real money, by the way. But I also looked at a couple other companies. One of them called Sundial today. I bought it for $1.10 a share. I sold it for $1.25 a share. But I had bought like 100 shares, so I actually made a decent turnaround on that. And then I also bought a company called like Viral Biotechnics. So it was VIR. And what I did with that one was when the rest of the market was down, I looked at it and I saw that it had been anywhere from about $65 to $85 a share. And then because of that market turnaround where costs and everything else, like I said, costs on Thursday was $36 after I bought it for $74, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, VIR was down to $51, and I said, you know what? I'm going to buy 5 shares of that stock. And then 24 hours later, it had corrected itself to $74 a share. So I sold my 5 shares of stock and made $23 a share on it. Even though I had no idea anything about the company, I just looked at the trends and noticed that people were purposely like not able to, and that was one of the stocks that was not on the list of you can't buy this, because it wasn't one of those 5 major stocks that everybody was going after, but it was on the list of the most shorted stocks in America. So I went ahead and I bought a couple shares at the very lowest point of that day. And then by Friday, I sold it and I made all the money that I lost on AMC that weekend back. And now that AMC dropped to $12 a share again, I simply sat there and said, it sounds like a good investment. I'm going to buy more. The other stock that I will go ahead and tell everybody that I think they ought to consider, a lot of people are looking at BlackBerry right now and thinking that that's actually a pretty good investment for hey, they've got government contracts, man. All the government has to do is renew that contract, and that stock's gonna go up again. But Nokia, right now, the even the stock buyers on the market, 63% of them are saying it's a buy, and it's $4 a share. So I bought enough to give myself 25 shares of Nokia today.
Okay.
Like I said, it's $4 a share. 25 shares means I spent $100 on it. It's really not a big investment.
Yeah.
If it goes up to $50 because Nokia comes out with a brand new technology, I get a new TV.
Next, you're gonna say Tesla.
Tesla's $800 a share, man.
Chris Barrett's making fun of you.
Chris Barrett can make fun of me all he wants. He's watching our show.
Katie says she can't stand hearing about GameStop.
Well, that's why I'm not talking about them. Unless...
Here we go.
Is everybody ready?
Make it a good one. You didn't do a funny one last time.
Come on. Everybody loves... But I want to hear Katie actually... I want to see Katie in the chat sit there and say that she's ready for the GameStop story of the week.
You might still be driving, and you might have to wait a minute, and it's 9/11.
All right, so what you're saying is I should just go ahead and give the GameStop story of the week.
Yeah.
So Tino, they're not always funny ones.
Damn it.
This one might have some funny.
The best one was the dude with the sword, and then the customer's like, I will sue you if you fire him. That's the best one so far. So
well, I told you that was the greatest GameStop story of all time.
Yes.
And I don't know if I can actually beat that one.
Oh, man.
However, we'll go ahead and we'll tell the story. So, all right. So I used to run a store that we called the Old 96er. And the reason why is because GameStop numbers their stores based on when they actually launched them, right? So the Old 96er was called that because when we finally closed it down, it was 20 years old and didn't quite make it to its 21st birthday. Wow. All right. However, when I got moved over to that store, one night I was sitting there and I was doing something, working out a bunch of stuff around the store, and this kid comes in. And I got two stories about the Old 96er that I'll tell tonight, just because I think they're funny, but people are probably going to be pretty crazy about what happened here. But you got to know a little bit about video games for this first one. Is that like the Johnny Crash wreck of old 97? No. Chris Barrett, just so you know, the Old 96er is also the term that was used in Funny Farm when Chevy Chase eats the what was it? The balls of the animal that they fried. He eats fried balls of the animal, and he's just eaten all of them. And of course he eats 96 of them, so they call it the Old 96er. But but anyways, so and in fact, I need to grab some visual aid here. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Go ahead and talk, Tino.
Bull balls, Rocky Mountain oysters. Yeah, this story sucks. We riot. That's what I say. If this story isn't any good, either one of them, we riot. I'm with you guys. So in the chat, how was your weekend? What'd you guys do this weekend? Anybody do anything exciting, anything fun? He's still doing. Chris Barrett, what'd you get into? And Katie, if you're still on, what did you get into? And he's back. I was just trying to figure out what everybody was doing on their weekends. Nobody's answered yet.
Nobody's answered? All right. So one night I'm sitting there getting ready to close up. And back in the day, PlayStation 1 games became really expensive. Okay. So like Final Fantasy 7, you pay like $100 for.
Yeah.
Especially if you had the one that had like the black label on it. Okay. So like the black label PlayStation, right? And this one kid came in and he brought a box in and he was like, hey, what do you guys give me for this? And GameStop didn't take the stuff in trade back then. What's funny is they do now, but they didn't back then. And I couldn't do anything about it, right? And I looked in the box, and a couple days before that, I'd actually done a search on the internet of what the 20 rarest PlayStation 1 games were.
Oh no.
And they included like Final Fantasy VII. They included a game called Suikoden from Konami, Suikoden 2 from Konami. They included a game called Lunar 2. They included Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, a bunch of different games, right? This guy brought in a box.
Had all of them.
It had every single one of them in it. It had like 16 of the 20 rarest games for the PlayStation 1.
And you couldn't do a damn thing.
And what's that now?
And you couldn't do a damn thing. You couldn't take them in or anything.
Well, I couldn't take them in. But then I looked at the kid and he's like, man, you can't give me like $20 for them, whatever. And I'm like, bro, I can't give you $20 for those games, because if you were to go, and remember, this is 10 years ago, if you were to go on the internet, you'll have a better chance of selling them for considerably more. And he goes, I just need to be able to make enough money so that I can get a bus ride home. And I'm like, no. I can't give you. And he's like, you can't give me just like $20 for them. And I'm like, no, I can't. No, but, and then I finally just went, you know what? I'll tell you what. You wait outside at 9:00 when I close the door.
And you bought them bitches.
And I'll give you $50 for what you got in that bin right now. Because I looked at the conditions of the discs, and they're perfect. I looked at the boxes, they're perfect. I'm sitting there like,
you could resell them. Personally.
Well, I could. I could. And I was like, I don't want to do this. But the kid's telling me he can't get home without making some money. So he comes back at 9:00. I open up the door and I said, here's $50. He gives me the box, right? And I look through it, and just some of the ones are like the Final Fantasy Chronicles, which is Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger on the original PlayStation, right?
Oh, you still have them.
Oh, yes. It includes Lunar. It includes Lunar 2. And by the way, these are not little boxes, because these were the collector's editions that had all the bonus stuff in them.
You can't even play them unless you have a PS1 now, right?
Exactly. I do still have a PS3 that could play them, but it was never about playing them for me. Hell, half the collection that I've got for the PS5, I've never actually put into the system at this point. But anyways, so the next day, I'm sitting there and I'm looking through this collection of stuff that I bought, and I for whatever reason, I still had it at the store. And this guy walks in and he sees me pulling one of them out, and he goes, hey, is that Suikoden 1? And I'm like, yeah, but it's got like a Blockbuster label on it. And it was the only one that had like a Blockbuster like cover label. Remember how they used to put like that Blockbuster logo on everything that they had? Well, he sits there and he goes, I don't give a shit. I'll give you $75 for it right now. And I'm like, well, GameStop doesn't sell this stuff. So I sold that one game for $75 when I bought the entire box
For 50.
for 50, right? And then Suikoden 2, which, like I said,
The Electric Boogaloo.
The Electric Boogaloo. Perfect condition of the discs, perfect condition of the box. Put it on eBay, got $175 for that. So I got $250 for 2 games out of this bin of like 16 games that I bought from a guy.
Damn. Oh, Rob.
Oh, Chris Barrett, I love you. Yeah, so another story about the old 96er, by the way. Which is one of my favorite ones, but it's a very quick story because I know that you want to get talking about the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, because
it's only 20 after 9. I mean, we're good on time.
You have a commute of down your stairs to go to work tomorrow.
You do too if you claim that you got the Carino again.
I ain't playing that shit.
It's all right. So the other old 96er story that I absolutely loved was it was a mall store, okay? And it had glass doors. And the glass doors had these nice little like things that would stick into the ground to keep the door from moving, right?
Yeah.
This was also about the time that Heelys started being a thing.
Oh, Jesus. I already know where this is going.
Did you ever have a set of Heelys, Tino?
No, I did not.
Did your daughter?
Because I'm a grown ass man. No, she said that the other day. She was mad because we never let her have Heelys, and she's got this Croc fetish. So apparently, Crocs make Heelys. So she's going to buy herself some Heely Crocs.
That already sounds like a bad idea.
And you know how graceful my daughter is. Yeah, that's not going to be a good idea at all. That's a hospital bill waiting to happen right there.
So anyway, so the GameStop story of the week is that while I was sitting there and doing something, talking to somebody in the store, a kid with Heelys came right up and face planted directly into the front door of the store because he couldn't stop his Heelys. And it was like,
how hard did you laugh?
I was crying. My face was red, and I apologize. I apologize for saying what came out of the kid's mouth when he looked at me. But he looked at me when he picked himself up, and he was like, "Fucking faggot geek."
To you?
Yeah.
Because it was your fault he went face first.
Because, well, I gotta say, if you go up to most GameStops, they haven't washed their windows in a while.
Ew.
But for me, I was always told that the first thing that your district or regional manager sees, and Katie can probably attest to this. Corey can probably attest to this if he's still here. But both of them know that the first thing that a district or regional manager sees when they walk into your store is your front windows, right? So what do you need to do? You need to keep them bitches clean.
Yep.
So I kept mine looking like you could see directly through it, right?
Oh my God.
And that's why this son of a bitch went smack into the door, and then Tino, it was literally like a cartoon. He smacks into the door.
Can't tell me he slid down.
And you see him slide down.
Dude.
And then when he gets up, what's that?
I'd have peed my pants.
I was laughing so I had tears coming down, and I'm just like, bro, That's what the stoppers are for.
Apparently, he
And,
didn't know how to use them.
and he was like, fucking geek.
FFG, you're FFG.
Oh, Chris Barrett. Chris Barrett has probably the only thing that would have made the situation better.
I don't think it
But
made it better. It wouldn't
but
have
I,
made it better.
but I'm going to tell you why it was impossible, Chris Barrett. The door's thickness of glass was about 1.5 inches thick.
That's just probably bulletproof.
Not quite. It probably back then it probably would have shattered, but we would pull the doors closed, and then there was a gate you pulled down. So it's not like you would have gotten in anyway, even if you did like shoot the glass, like Hans Gruber tells you to do. But it is what it is. But yeah, so there you go, Tino.
That yeah.
The once a week GameStop story just for you, my friend, and a little bit for Katie, because even though she doesn't want us talking about GameStop, I'm sure she actually got a little chuckle out of that one.
If she's still on.
Well, I don't know. This thing's saying two sets of eyes are looking at us, but it's actually telling me that it's me looking at both sets, and I that's obviously not the case. So and Chris Barrett's obviously still in. So Chris Barrett, I want to tell you something about that. It's not plexiglass. In fact, when it comes to GameStop trying to protect product, they spare no expense. When they try to protect their employees, that's where it gets a little dicey. And we'll talk about that next week.
If you remember.
So you didn't do anything this week, Tino?
I worked, and then I went over to my best friend Mike.
What are you trying to? Went over to your best what?
My best friend that I've known since. No, bitch. I had my best friend from high school, Paul.
You did come over here last night, so
Mike.
You did come to see your best friend this weekend.
Yeah, okay. And then I went to go see my brother. How about that? I went to go see my brother. They have a newborn, and so I finally got to go see my new nephew. And hang. Oh, you gonna pout now? You gonna pout? You're my best friend, Rob. But I went and I did. I got to go see the baby, which was cool. And then I checked. He also had an AR-15, which was cool. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then, ladies and gentlemen, so Rob will stop pouting like a little baby bitch. We got together and we went to watch. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I forgot my two Stranger Thingies yesterday. So I need to come back and get those. Why is it upside down?
Which one's upside down? Oh, this one's upside down now.
Yeah. Is it the same one? You got two different covers?
That one's upside down now.
You got two different covers for it?
Of course.
Yeah, I walked out last night. I got home. I was like, fuck, I was meant to get 2 copies of that.
Yeah, we got the Rob Pochak Little Shop of Horrors cover.
Yeah, I don't think they get that one. The other one.
Oh, we don't want the Rob Pochak cover.
For me personally, but for Matthew and that's probably the one they'd want. I like the Little Shop of Horrors. I get it because I grew up on that. That's my favorite. Feed me.
Little known fact. Jack Nicholson's first movie was Little Shop of Horrors.
Was he in Little Shop?
Not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. The original.
But yeah, the Rick Moranis, Steve Martin version did not include Jack Nicholson. Nowadays, however, if they were to remake that movie, they would probably ask all 3 of those guys to be in it a little bit just to really go back in there.
Because I haven't seen the original. What did Jack play in the original?
He played Seymour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was his first film. So knowing that guy has won like 3 Oscars and the Lifetime Achievement Award and everything else, like it's pretty crazy thinking that was.
I don't know if I could go back and watch that one because I'm so used to The Rick Moranis, and I love
Suddenly Seymour
is standing beside.
And you know, we know,
Seymour. Her voice.
and of course our buddy Fubar actually sings that song at karaoke.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So but the reason why I actually did that cover was because on top of the Strangest Things story in there, which by the way, my favorite part of the book is that there is a pull out like poster
Like a
in the book.
centerfold.
Yeah.
Oh, Matthew's gonna eat that up.
It's awesome, isn't it?
It's gonna be on
like,
his wall.
Like that's twice the size of the book. But there is actually a backup story where Nancy goes to the dentist, and it's called the Little Shop and Cavities.
I am your dentist,
and I'm insane
for causing things pain.
So yeah, and even the dentist actually sings the song in the issue. So but yeah, there's two stories in it. It's $5.99, comes out February 10th at your local comic shops. So please make sure that you actually go out to the shops and pick it up. I will, Tino, be doing a signing in Fayetteville, North Carolina at Dragon's Lair Comics.
When?
February 13th. So 3 days after launch.
Shit, I got a show that weekend. That's that day.
Where's your show?
Saturday, right?
Yeah.
I'm in Clayton. You're in Fayetteville on opposite sides of the world.
Well, but I might. What time's your show?
2 to 5.
Oh yeah. I definitely can't make that work because I'll be there probably 11 to 5 or whatever doing the signing. But it's my first signing in like a year, man.
It pisses me off. I'd have loved to gone out there and just been there.
But I'm still trying to work on the local guys to see if we can get them doing something. But yeah, so
cool.
All right, Tino.
So folks, we finally did it.
We've talked about us.
And we finally did it. We said we were going to, and we were originally going to be on Zoom with it, but we weren't sure that a whole lot of people were going to be on Zoom. So we figured we'll just watch the show and we'll recap it tonight. And I finally got to try that, was that Pappy's whiskey? Whatever that whiskey you.
Oh, it was not the Pappy Van Winkle. Because I looked it up today, and to try to order it to get it shipped to us,
we
can't afford it. We
can't. Still $400 a bottle, wasn't it?
Yeah. Try again.
More
because every year they put out new ones, and this year they actually said there's going to be less Pappy Van Winkle than there was last year. So they want like $1,200 a bottle.
God. No.
Now, that's because the website I went to was like Casks or something, like Cask Metal or whatever. I don't remember what the name of it is, but they basically try to order from any of the other websites out there that will actually order it. So they pay them for it, whatever their price is, and then they jack up the price so that they can get it and get it to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way, because I got cousins in Lexington, Kentucky.
Is that where it is?
That's where it is. So I'm thinking. Oh yeah, we're thinking me and Gene gonna talk to the cousins and get some Pappy. Yeah, so the idea, no?
You took it far. We should have stopped. You should have stopped with a thinking.
It was a pretty good thinking, brother. But yeah, so the idea is to see when they're actually supposed to come out with the new batch, and see if I can talk to my cousin and my uncle about trying to get us a bottle. Because here's what I noticed. So I went on this website, Cask Masters or whatever it is, or I'm not gonna give them a plug because obviously like they're not supporting the show. They're not supporting the show. But anyways, the 75th anniversary Crown Royal bottle that I bought for like $75, they now had, now granted, it's a 4-year-old bottle, which means you probably can't get it anymore, is now $430.
The Crown Royal bottle?
75th anniversary, which was a special blend, everything else. Now, when I bought my house, I drank the last of mine. So I still have the bottle, I still have the box, I still have the little bag that it came in, everything else. And I still have the little certificate of authenticity saying that it came from cask number 16, blah, 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 blah. But $430 just for that. So I have to assume these guys are jacking up prices. So if I talk to my cousins out in Kentucky, maybe they can figure out a way to get us a bottle of Pappy.
Okay.
But it's still going to be expensive. I found today, so you know how people like to sit there and say, hey, if I were to win the lottery, this is what I would buy?
Yeah.
So my sister asks me that all the time. And I never really think about the question because I'm like, shit, I'm never going to win the lottery. Like, doesn't even matter if I buy the ticket, I'm still not going to win the lottery, you know? Like, if I were to win the lottery with the ticket, I'd probably lose the ticket before I took it in to get it, like, validated.
Oh, no. I'm put that bitch in a safe. As soon as I figure out.
You take it to get it validated, so you get your friggin' money. But anyways, I'm just thinking that I would lose it or I would throw it away and I'd be like, and then I'd be like, wait a second. Those numbers look familiar. You know what I mean? But anyways, so if I were to win the lottery, I went to this website and they had a bottle of like 23-year-old Pappy. You know how much they wanted for it? $37,000.
No.
So Tino, if I were to win $250 million in the lottery, I would buy a $37,000 bottle of Pappy. $250 million? Shit. If I were to win $250 million, I'm going to say this on the record, on the show right now. You ready? I'd give you $1 million.
Wait, time out. Wait. You got $250 million, and you're only gonna break me off $1 million? You cheap bastard! What?
How many other people you think are going to ask me for money?
I wouldn't ask you for money.
That's why I would give you $1 million.
Oh, all right. I appreciate it.
I mean, here you are bitching about it.
Like you go pay 30.
Like you wouldn't even have to pay the taxes on it. It'd be a gift.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to pay the taxes on it.
And I would, yeah. I live off the interest of that bitch. I do something. I damn put that shit in the rock.
So my sister and my brother-in-law talk about this shit all the time. They're like, if we were to
$1 million too,
if we were to sit there and win $250 million or whatever, we'd have a set amount that we'd give to everybody. And they talk about it, and it's interesting. My sister's actually really like smart about this stuff. She's like, we give you like $500,000 to buy your house. So you could go buy a really nice place and never have to pay for your house. You just pay your bills, right? And then she's like, but then we'd also give you like this much money. Well, what would you do with it? And they keep asking, like, what do you think you'd do with it, Rob? Because you're the anomaly. We don't know what you would do with it. And I'm like, I'd probably start a comic book company.
and pay $37,000 for a bottle of whiskey.
And I would no. No, if they only gave me like $2 million, I don't know if I would buy a $37,000 bottle of whiskey. But I probably would.
Let's get to the Rumble, bitch.
Wait, do you have any idea how good a $37,000 bottle of dollar whiskey would be?
Yeah.
Be the most amazing bottle of whiskey that you'd ever drink because she was $37,000. That thing better taste like money. Anyways, all right, folks.
Yeah, because I'm telling you now, we got like 20 minutes.
You want to be done by 10:10.
You want Nicole to come in here? She's going to bed at 10 o'clock, so you got 20 minutes.
She can be on the show. So, all right, let's go ahead and start it up. Tino, first match of the night was Drew McIntyre versus Bill Goldberg.
No, it wasn't. It was the women's tag match that was on the kickoff show.
No. We're not talking about. Now you're just going to extend the show. Don't do that to me.
All right, so we got Drew McIntyre and Goldberg.
And how did you feel about it?
I thought it was good for what it was. So yeah, I'd said that I would have been mad if they would have given him, if they would have given Goldberg that belt, because there's a lot more. And I said this the whole night, not only with that, but I see it, but also with the Royal Rumble, them bringing back the Hall of Famers and the old timers is just taking up the spots where new talent could have been showcased. And this
you really took that impression from this Royal Rumble. I noticed.
Yeah. Because there's a couple things that pissed me off, and you were there. Like after a certain match, I just went to my phone. I said, "Fuck this show! I'm not watching the rest of it." Remember that? When I got mad.
We're gonna get to that because I am gonna talk about that specifically.
All right. So Drew McIntyre, Goldberg. It was better. I'd give it a B.
Yeah, out of 5, I would give it a 3. I would say it was, but interestingly enough, I listened to Busted Open, and on Busted Open, they said that get in, get done, get out, get over, and that's pretty much what it was. It was like watching the band that does only their greatest hits and then gets off the stage and says, "We're fucking done. We're headed out."
Yeah.
Right. And it did what it was supposed to, though. Drew went over. Drew looked good. So I was happy with that.
Right.
Because we both thought, hey, Royal Rumble, we know that Goldberg's got 2 matches per year on his contract, which means they could totally sit there and fuck us and have Goldberg win here, have Drew win the Royal Rumble, and then suddenly you got Goldberg versus Drew 2, and Drew's got to beat him the second time, and that just would have been garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at least we didn't get that. I felt like the match was solid. I felt like yes, there was only like 4 moves actually done through the entire thing. And I felt like, and I told you this, that the commentators missed a major spot where when Goldberg went for the jackhammer, Drew's feet came down first, which made it look like it was a botched jackhammer. But they could have totally sold it as Drew McIntyre had this scouted and actually got his feet down so that it didn't have the same impact, and thus Drew McIntyre actually blocked the jackhammer, right?
Yep.
They could have done that. They didn't, but of course that's on the fly thinking. However, I said it immediately after it happened, and it's funny because later in the show, people are talking about the Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns match where the Paul Heyman couldn't get the handcuff off of Roman Reigns fast enough, and the referee had to stop counting at 6 instead of continuing his count. So let's go right into that. We can go into the other matches, but let's go right into the Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens match because you had some serious feelings about this, Tino, and I got to hear them. Stop looking at your phone.
It was bullshit. It was bullshit. I told you going in that I knew Kevin Owens was going to lose, and this is what the 4th or 5th time he's lost to Roman Reigns. So he has, to me, it would he has no more credibility. 3rd time, he has no more credibility. Nobody's going to believe that he's going to be up for a championship, that he's going to win a championship.
And I told you I disagreed when we were sitting here by ourselves, and here's why. And this is what I said to him. I said, Mankind won the championship on 3 separate occasions, and during those 3 separate occasions, he held it for like a grand total of like 24 days. During that time, he lost. He won it. He lost it. He won it. He lost it, and no one ever seemed to care when those championships were the way that they were. So I flat out told you, Tino, that Kevin Owens is this generation's Mankind.
And while I like the way Roman's going, his attitude, it's just it was that match. I didn't like it at all.
So Chris Barrett says that the ref stopped counting because Roman got to a vertical base. That's not actually true. However, Corey Graves did say it's because Roman Reigns got both of his feet underneath him. The fact is that you're supposed to be standing, and just because you're in a bowed down, squatted position, however, they do always typically sit there and say you have to get to your feet. And that's why they were able to do this. However, they did flat out stop counting at 6.
And what took the other refs so long to get out there? He ran that ref's face into that thing. Usually when a ref goes down, they immediately have a new ref out there. That ref didn't. The new ref didn't get out there immediately.
So I'm going to be real with you. If this were real life, and I just saw Roman Reigns ram somebody's head who was a referee into it backstage, you got them 7 referees, like that little Asian one that's like, and the female one is like, I'll do it, whatever. You got them all standing there, and it's like, who wants to go out there after that? And they're all like, like that's what I kind of wish that they did like a WWE.com moment where it was showing the referees who have to go running out from backstage because the only one that would have been fucking Earl Hebner. Okay. He'd have run out there and then he'd have botched the fucking spot anyway, because that's what Earl does.
Yeah.
When you're handcuffed in a position that doesn't allow you to stand up, but you can squat, So Chris Barrett, that's the problem. That's the problem with the spot is that Paul Heyman was probably freaking out at the fact that he couldn't get the key into the little slot because he couldn't see the damn slot to sit there and put the key in, which caused the whole issue of Roman Reigns not standing, and that's their problem with this. Like the whole idea is it's a last man standing match, not a last man squatting match, not a last man on his feet match. It's literally standing up, and that's why that moment where Kevin Owens got put through the LED board and rolled off to his feet was fucking phenomenal, because Tino and I are sitting there going, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. And then at 9, he rolled off that board and he's standing up, and the referee's like, I got to give it to him. And Roman Reigns sat there. What did he say, Tino? It was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, it was awesome.
I think my favorite part of the match, and it did pop me, is when Roman hit him with that golf cart.
So Sammy Guevara actually posted his getting hit by a golf cart thing.
It was nothing like
and he got hit by like the one wall of the golf cart.
And it wasn't going that fast.
That's why this was nothing like that. Because Kevin Owens went through the windshield, through Roman Reigns, and still smacked Roman Reigns on the way through. And it was freaking insane. And you're absolutely right. But Tino, I want to bring up a very specific moment that both you and I noticed about the time that Kevin Owens lifted the forklift. Why the hell was the Miz's Money in the Bank briefcase
and it's sitting
out randomly around that whole moment with nobody holding on to it? Like, was that a red herring?
No, you said he's probably just in gorilla position because his coat was on the his and Morrison's coat were on the table too.
So they were waiting to come out.
So yeah,
and then they got told not to. Chris Barrett does say that the golf cart was the best part of that match, and I can't disagree. But I am going to say that Kevin Owens absolutely is this generation's Mick Foley. And I said Mankind, but he is the Mick Foley of this generation. And if you go putting him in a Hell in a Cell match, don't be surprised if Terry Funk comes out of his shoes in the middle of a match and Kevin Owens gets chokeslammed through the fucking cage. Because that's
make sure he's alive. Make sure he's alive.
Mr. Helios says that he was having internet issues. And of course, Chris Barrett says they robbed me of the Miz and Morrison on a golf cart. And you're probably right. Like, I bet the story changed somewhere in the middle. I kind of felt like that part was all scripted and done at a different time because Roman's arm looked like it was bleeding throughout other parts of the match, but it wasn't bleeding there. And there was a lot of craziness in that whole match. But I'm going to tell you, I fucking loved that match. Did I love the ending? No. Do I think that they should have let Kevin Owens go over only to have Roman Reigns win the match or win a rematch on Friday night? Yes. And the reason why is because I don't think Fox would have complained. I think Fox would have been like, oh, we're going to have a world title match on Friday night. Do it. You know, it's not going to, it's going to set your storyline for WrestleMania back 1 week at most. And it doesn't even really do that because you can still sit there and say, we're going to have the rematch of Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns here. And on top of that, we're going to have the number one contender match is however many there are going on the rest of the night. It wouldn't have changed shit.
No.
You know, it's just them sitting there going, fuck, we already got a plan. Can't do this now. Although we know that WWE plans change on a weekly basis. Right? Yeah. So, all right, Tino.
Women's Royal Rumble first? Or are you going to do the
men's? Let's do it. Women's Royal Rumble.
First of all.
Well, let's go ahead and say.
I called it.
Tino called the winner. And Rob called the runner-up.
Who?
Rhea Ripley.
Yes. And you were mad about that at the end of the match.
But I was mad about it. Why? Why don't you go ahead and talk about it first and get through it? Like,
talk about what? It's 30 women. It came down to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. I think that Bianca, like I said, and that's what I was going for the whole night, is okay. We got Edge who won the men's Royal Rumble. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that because he's coming back to his one last run to win the belt that he never lost. I get that. But I had problems with they got all these hungry youngsters in the back, and they're bringing back these and it was cool to see some of the older ones back, but some of them we even said, well, that's a waste of a spot. That's a waste of a spot. You know what I mean? Bianca needed this, and I kind of figured she was going to win it because of the chronicle they did on her and all that. You know, she's been looking good past few weeks, and I think what surprised me and I thought could be a good match if they have it is Bianca and Naomi. That'd be a good match as well.
So they did the little moment between Bianca and Naomi. The whole Bianca winning, you know, you said I got mad. Do you want me to explain why?
Can you do it quickly?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
Here's why. So Bianca had already beaten Bayley, who had a right to claim she was the number one contender on SmackDown. So if Bianca beat the number one contender on SmackDown, that makes Bianca said number one contender on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
You agree?
Okay.
Okay. So what does that mean for Rhea Ripley? Rhea Ripley, who was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble, got tossed out of the Royal Rumble and lost her last match in NXT, so she has nothing going on.
But
so
no.
if Rhea Ripley had won the Royal Rumble, she'd be able to sit there and say, I'm going after Asuka and set up a storyline. Now, instead, they have to go with as Alexa was getting ready to do her transformation, Rhea Ripley threw her out of the ring, which could have been Victoria, could have been Piggy James, could have been anybody, but Rhea Ripley doing it.
Old bitches, that's again.
Hold on. So, Rhea Ripley throws out Alexa Bliss, and everybody wonders, does that mean it's Rhea Ripley versus Alexa Bliss? And Tino started thinking about this. Who has Alexa Bliss beaten in the last 2 weeks?
Randy Orton.
No.
Asuka.
So, if Alexa Bliss has beaten Asuka in the last 2 weeks, right? And Rhea Ripley threw Alexa Bliss out of the Royal Rumble, then this means that we may see a triple threat match at WrestleMania of Asuka, the champion, versus Rhea Ripley versus the crazy kindergartner, Alexa Bliss. Right? Right?
Yeah, I said yeah.
So that's where I think it's going, but that's a stretch.
Yeah,
Chris Barrett says Rhea Ripley should be number one contender overall for Raw because she beat everyone from Raw brand, only losing to Superior brand SmackDown. While we all agree that the now current Superior brand is SmackDown, I would still say that the strength of the champions, Drew and Asuka, is pretty strong. And I don't think that means Rhea Ripley suddenly goes there. But anyways, so all right, so Rhea Ripley or comes in second. We expect to see her tonight on Raw. Obviously,
remember there was one part. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there was one point in that match where you thought that maybe she was going to form a tag team. Remember that with Bianca? Remember, because they were both on the edge, and she used Bianca's hair to pull herself back in. And
Which
they're like,
one?
at the same time, wasn't it Rhea? They're like at the same time.
No. That was Naomi that they did
Naomi.
that.
that used her hair.
However, at the end of the match, and this is something that Busted Open talked about, was the idea that that spot would have been so much better if at the end, after they got rid of Charlotte, if while they were both sitting on the outside and they slipped back in, because this isn't how we want to win this match, that it would have been better if they hadn't done the Naomi spot earlier when the two women slapped themselves so far against the damn thing that they popped back up and were able to get back into the ring. Because that was just weird.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, Tino. As much as I hated the almost spots where he eliminated people from the Royal Rumble, I absolutely loved the fact that this was the first year we didn't get that bullshit oh, this guy's not in the Rumble anymore. Although we kind of did in the Women's Rumble.
We did with Orton.
Because one of the women, wasn't it Naomi, was lying on her back, but because her 2 feet hadn't hit, they didn't count it? Fucking garbage.
Why? Her feet didn't hit. That's the rules. Just like your last man standing, he was technically on his feet. You can't have it for one and not have it for the other. It's the same rule.
He wasn't on his feet, and I complained about that.
Yeah. Well,
I complained about that, Tino. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying they should have given the title to Kevin Owens. Don't try to put words in my mouth now.
Well, what's the rules of the Royal Rumble?
2 feet after at the ground.
But
if your back is on the ground, isn't that more than 2 feet?
It's not your feet.
It's bullshit.
Not your feet.
That's you know what? If this was the NFL,
you don't like.
They would be going in.
No. If that had been
having meetings about this shit.
If that would have been Alexa Bliss, you'd be like, "Oh, okay."
No, I wouldn't have.
You would have. You lying sack. I had a problem. Oh, it's not Big E out of the ring.
Yeah, he pulled Big E out of the ring.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about men's Royal Rumble.
Oh, the.
So interestingly enough, before the Royal Rumble was announced, Randy Orton was supposed to be number 1. Edge was supposed to be number 2. Now, I know this really doesn't matter because the number 1 and number 2 guys are in there for the exact same amount of time, except for the fact that Edge came out number 1 and Randy Orton came out number 2. Now, the only reason why that really matters is because now Edge gets to claim he was the number 1 competitor in the Royal Rumble, and he also won the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton gets to say that he lasted the second most length of time because when he came back down, dropped him with the
rolling. He had to correct himself.
I'm not sure what I think of Almost anymore. Like is he going to start wrestling or what?
I think him and Braun, that look they gave you, because remember he's like, almost catch me. He went to go throw him, and they stopped and he threw AJ out the other side, and him and Almost had that stare down. And that's about the only person that could probably stand up and take Almost would be Braun Strowman.
Chris Barrett, I think we all want to see Almost taken out with a chair. But anyways, so the men's Royal Rumble, Tino, we got Carlito.
Hot Diesel sumbitch.
Like that dude, and let me just say this. He looked healthy. Healthy. The reason why that's important is because the reason why he was let go by the WWE was why?
Money, wasn't it? Was he drugs? Yeah.
And he looked healthy. And of course, the joke of all of this was that Carlito looked healthy, looked strong in the match, And that's why I think if we watch tonight's Monday Night Raw, he's going to look like the guy that gets the MVP treatment. But I started thinking about that MVP treatment, and you know who I think is going to get it?
Christian.
And that's only if Jay Riso wants that treatment. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed a short-term deal to do a tag team match with Edge, because that moment between Edge and Christian deserves a tag team championship match. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So give them a tag team championship match, Edge and Christian, leading into Edge's match at WrestleMania. Like there's like 12 weeks that you can build towards that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Make sure you don't injure him between now and WrestleMania.
Give him a concussion again.
But let's talk about that Christian moment. Was it one of the best Royal Rumble moments ever?
Edge last year was the best.
Well, I agree, but Edge being in there as number one and seeing his best friend who had to retire almost for the, like, nobody really knows the reasons. They think it was concussion reasons. Being in the Royal Rumble alongside him.
And I think that's why I think it's only going to be a one-off. I don't think Christian's going to come back.
I don't know, dude. That dude was in such good shape.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a Edge sat there and said, "Hey, Jay's helping me get in shape. Hey, Vince, what do you think? What do you think about bringing Christian back?" And he said, "That creepy little bastard." Because that's what Vince always called him, the CLB.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. It's weird. Damian Priest made a good showing. Terrence says that his cousin Carlito came out swole. You agreed. Edge ends up winning. So, Tino, real quick, and then we'll get off of here because I know that you want to leave. The end of the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton comes back after selling an injury for like an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hits Edge with an RKO. Nicole can come in and say hi.
Nah, dude, she's putting on her pajamas.
Oh. So anyway, comes in, does the whole RKO, and then as he does what he's supposed to, which is pick the other wrestler up and throw him out, Edge turns it around, throws Randy Orton out. How is that possible with an RKO?
Yeah, because usually RKO is going to lay out, and he hit it. It's not like he half hit it. It's like Edge managed to somewhat block it. He caught him.
He rocked him with it. He rocked him.
Yeah. So I don't know, or maybe they're going to say he didn't have enough power because of his leg injury, which I thought was the leg injury because you know what I'm saying. They could play.
Oh yeah, which we thought was legit.
Yeah, because you saw it and I saw it. Looked like he ripped it off the bone. I don't know how they've got it to look like that.
Well, that's Randy. It's possible that they just made sure that he stepped a certain way because if you stretch, like if you're a bodybuilder and obviously Randy Orton knows Batista, who was a bodybuilder beforehand, right? If Batista said, "Hey, if you step this way, it's going to look like that muscle looks like," because I sat there and told you, I was like, dude, I think Randy's hurt. Which means they blew us both away with that shit. You know what I mean? But it is possible that Randy's also the guy that way back early in his career got hit with a forearm or whatever, and we both thought he was concussed, and it was just all at work against us. And the whole time we're sitting there going, that motherfucker knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? But
it did. It looked nasty.
That the way that leg was like jacked up, yeah. But I mean, if you know how to sit there and stretch your muscle perfectly, like by putting your leg down a certain way, you can make that happen.
And he had his leg brace pulled down, so maybe that helped. I don't know, push it to look a certain way. I don't know.
Maybe I agree with you, but we both were caught off guard by that one, and that's not usual for us. You know what I mean? So Tino, I'm not going to keep you here any longer. I know that Monday Night Raw has been on for 2 hours now, and I want to thank all of our guests that have been in the chat, from Mr. Helios to Chris Barrett to Corey Poshan to Katie Millard, and say that we're on the road to WrestleMania, my friend.
Dude, what do we got? One more pay-per-view? Did we figure it out last night? So was it one more?
I don't think there's a February one because it's supposed to be Elimination Chamber. Although I told you that if they wanted to bring Becky Lynch back, the way that you do it is you hide one of the Elimination Chamber chambers as a hidden opponent.
So
which you have it open up and you have it be Becky, but she's not here.
Yeah, but you would have to do that somewhat because they have the show, so they would probably have to do that match first. Because think about it, if they already have a show, then they got to put the chamber together. She'd already have to be in there for them to cover it, so they'd have to start out the show with the chamber up.
Well, not necessarily. You know, like right now they normally have the plexiglass walls. Instead of doing that, you just do a mirrored wall instead.
No, what I'm saying is while they're putting it together, how would they sneak her in to cover it?
Oh, that's easy with the Thunderdome, man. You just go to a video package.
Yeah.
You know, like that. That's like the easiest part in the world. You just Thunderdome video package. Oh, the Elimination Chamber is this, that, and the other, and Rob Van Dam almost wasn't able to breathe again, and blah blah blah. You know, like why the hell wasn't Booker T in the Royal Rumble?
I don't know.
Wearing his GI Bro outfit that you said, and then Michael Cole had to mention afterwards.
And you're like, I think they got my house bugged.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, they got my house bugged because ain't no way they're gonna sit there and realize that you said that GI Bro was in the house. And
I said, why is he wearing his GI Bro gear? And Michael Cole goes, is that his? No, Corey Graves, is that his GI Bro gear? I'm like,
no, it was Michael Cole's.
It was
Michael Cole, which, like I said, means that they had my house bugged because nobody in WWE is going to sit there and say, "Hey, bring out the GI Bro."
No.
But you know who would? The Potsy and Tino show. That's right. Specifically Tino, because he would have been really mad if I mentioned GI Bro.
Put him in a body bag. I was going to say something else, but I digress. I'm getting old and I forgot.
I think we're done for the night.
Yeah. I just gotta look. Yeah.
So, why don't you do what you do, Tino?
You check it. You can check
him out. Use some of them Oxford commas.
Oh shit. He's on Twitter at Podcheck. I'm Hootie Fan. Hootie Fan 91 on Twitter. You can check him out on Instagram. I'm SC Tino. He's gonna be Rob Podcheck. Is your Michael? And you can check the show out on the Twitter It's Potsy and Tino. Facebook, we're the Potsy and Tino show. He's, as usual, is going to do his YouTube and Twitch. It's down at the bottom, apparently. Subscribe, Rob Podcheck. That's what it said. Subscribe, Rob Podcheck. And everything's
Roy Cooper is not letting us play our music because we're not sitting in the same room.
But when we do, it's thank you to Adam's House Cats for the wrestling song, which you can find on iTunes at 99 cents. I think hopefully soon, or I might just be like I did before and be like, just to hell with it. That's what I did last night. I'm like, the hell with it. I'm just
hell yeah.
So, but it won't be a late. It'll probably still be a 8 to 10, 8 to 9:30. I'll just have to get there. But think about it. So then we can go back to doing our old.
Folks, if you go ahead and you send messages to potsyandtino@gmail.com saying you want us in the same studio, that Tino is going to have to just say okay.
I don't know about all that, but okay.
And come on out.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
It's not like it's a polar plunge, Tino.
We'll see. We'll see if they really if they do it. I might have to think about it. If it's that important to our people, our fans, our crowd.
Say it in the comments, folks.
But all right. But as always, we hear Ric Flair, and he's up.
Hold on. Thank you, Chris Barrett. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey Pashon. Thank you, Katie, for
who else do we have?
For showing us some love. Anybody else that joined the chat and decided not to speak up?
Corey. Did you say Corey?
I didn't say Corey.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. But like I was saying, in that big house on the hill in Charlotte, we have Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, and he's making her go, woo!
Good night, everybody.
Woo! Woo!
Good night, everybody.